balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic. Providing context on today's events, this is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Welcome to all my Whiskey Warrior P1s who've been around since the Whiskey Musings days. And also, too, I'd like to extend a special invite to anybody else who is here for your very first time. Welcome to the program. I want to just let you all know, normally I have American-themed backgrounds, but because this is October, and October is the month of Halloween, I switch over to spooky backgrounds. Then in November, just as a heads up, in November, I switch over to more snowy cabin scenes. So just for anyone who is brand new, who's going, wow, this guy's like got this really spooky background in the back. Anyway, that is why. So this is my favorite time of year. We're coming around to the coldest time of the year, which of course is my favorite time of the year. And I like to switch up the backgrounds. And then of course the rest of the year, it's all American themed backgrounds. Probably for the November 5th election, I will be having an American flag themed background, of course, because of the election. But and I'm planning on streaming most of the night there, at least until potentially until an announcement is made, because obviously I'm on the West Coast, so the West Coast usually gets the announcement right around midnight East Coast time, which is 9 o'clock our time. Although there are some suggestions that we may not actually even know the answer to who is the president before like 2, 3, 4 days later. Honestly. And I've got one story about that tonight. But I know Pennsylvania has already said they don't even know for sure if they're going to have their stuff done in one night. That's ridiculous. Anyway. All right, let's go ahead and get things kicked off. As always, we have the Pledge of Allegiance, and tonight's Pledge of Allegiance is going to be performed or led by Coco, Cam, and Sean. Now, Coco and Cam and Sean, just so everybody knows, Sean is autistic. He is normally nonverbal. And so when he has the opportunity to speak, which you will see when he wants to, this is one of his special times. He loves the Pledge of Allegiance. And so you'll hear him in the beginning, and then he'll kind of fall into his normal mode of nonverbalism, and then he comes back at the very end. So he just gets so excited over the Pledge of Allegiance that he ends up dropping into a nonverbal state. So that's what you're going to hear, just so you guys don't get all freaked out. Okay? So anyway, there we go. That's what's going to happen. Let's go ahead, and if you would, please stand, remove your hat, place your hand over your heart, and join in with Coco, Cam, and of course Sean, the star of the show, Sean, with today's Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and thank you, Coco, Cam, and Sean, for that wonderful rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance. You know, someday I might be able to get out and see all of my Whiskey Warrior fans. I would love to meet Sean. I think Sean would just be absolutely awesome. But anyway, let me go on. For those of you that want to hear your version of the Pledge of Allegiance, it's really very simple. All you have to do is record yourself using some sort of a audio program, a digital audio recording program, even if it's just on your phone or whatever. You record yourself performing the Pledge of Allegiance. And then After you do that, you grab onto that file and attach it to an email and send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at americanperspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at americanperspective.online. And there I will take it and do what I need to do with it in order to get it into the rotation. And we will hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance right here on the program. And so that we're getting some hearts for Sean. Yeah, it's too bad Coco's not here. I haven't seen Coco yet in the chat, but that's okay. She'll probably pick it up. She'll probably see it afterward. I think she was going to be kind of busy. So, but anyway, we're seeing hearts and Sean's name of, Sean's name, of course, in the chat. And of course I see a hi from Z. That's Bam's daughter, Z, for those of you that don't know. But anyway, a hi from Z. So hi, Z. There you go. Oh yes. 3 Chevy just reminded me that Coco was in Iowa right now. So there we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and get tonight's sponsor out of the way here. And of course, it is Saturday night, so tonight's sponsor is the Institute on the Constitution. The Institute on the Constitution was established in 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission, and that is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. And believe me, folks, we need it, because there are a lot of people that don't know the Constitution. Sorry, I digress. All courses and materials are developed using primary source documents and taught from the American view of law and government as defined in the Declaration of Independence in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God. 2, our rights come from him. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers the opportunity to educate yourself on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. They also provide tools to educate your community and get involved with local government. Start by taking their free U.S. Constitution course and go from there. Use my affiliate link, iotc.americanperspective.online, to sign up. And while you are there, take a moment to look through their other course material and information. My affiliate link, once again, is iotc.americanperspective.online to get great content to learn about our historical founding and support the show in the process. That's iotc.americanperspective.online. Or if you just want to purchase this fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution, go to constitution.americanperspective.online. Take a look at this thing. It's an eighth of an inch of Saddleback leather. It has tear and water-resistant pages on the inside. And look at this. They do not skimp. I'm telling you, they don't skimp on the binding. This isn't cheap glue here. This is stitching that goes all the way through the leather into and through the pages. My rumblers keep telling me it won't poke you in the butt, and that's because of these sexy rounded corners. It is got a 100-year warranty against materials and workmanship defects. If something goes wrong in that 100 years, just send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It is buddy tested, buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved, and my youngest whiskey warrior has proven that the interior contents will help with getting your civics badge in Scouts. Go to constitution.americanperspective.online to get yours today. Hint, hint, Christmas is coming. Put these in people's stockings. Doesn't matter whether they're a lunatic leftist or a conservative, Constitution-loving American, because both will get enjoyment and get pleasure and enjoyment out of this. The liberal left can try and tear it apart, and the conservative, constitutional-loving American will put it in their pocket and keep it. This is a keepsake. I'm telling you, this is a literal keepsake to pass down to your kids. Okay, I'm telling you, this is good quality stuff here. I've already given out as many as I can to my family. You know, I got to go and grab a few more, but go to constitution.americanperspective.online to get yours. And also, don't forget to check out the rest of the Institute on the Constitution, all of their books and information. They do a great job over there with a whole bunch of stuff. So go and check them out today. And of course, I thank them for allowing me to be an affiliate and of course to help sell their products. They've got some great stuff. I'm telling you, great stuff. All right. So the big story of the day today, of course. Oh, wait, before I get into that, wow, I almost forgot. I even got the bottle sitting right here. Tonight, I'm drinking a new one. I'm not sure if Bonnie's in the chat. I don't think I've seen her check in, but here you go. I'm drinking Easy Rider. It says live free, ride. What is it? Ride easy. It's a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. It's only been aged 4 years, so that's what I'm drinking tonight, and I am drinking it, of course, out of the We the People Lucky Shot USA glass. I've got my whiskey stones there in the bottom. You can see them, and it's nice and cold. All right, yeah, that's actually. I mean, it's got an interesting flavor to it. Not gonna lie, but it's good. It's good for that. All right, let's go ahead and get this kicked off. First of all, a fan favorite. That wonderful segment is On This Day in American History. And of course, for On This Day in American History, we read from the American Patriots Almanac, written by William J. Bennett and John T.E. Cribb. It is chock full. I'm talking, this thing is probably, what, about 1.5 inches thick of information. It's got all kinds of stories and information and stuff. Even, I mean, it breaks it down daily, but it also has a bunch of things in between each month. It has something. Like, for an example, what was between September and October was a lot of patriotic songs and their actual lyrics along with them. It's just a fantastic book. This is another gift you might be able to give to like that conservative who loves America for Christmas. It'd be a great surprise. All right, tonight is October 5th, and we're going to talk about the Great Awakening. October 5th is the birthday of Jonathan Edwards, born in 1703 in East Windsor, Connecticut. The congregational minister's preaching and writing made him one of the most important figures in colonial America. His famous sermon, Sinners, in the hands of an angry God, threatened doomed for the unrepentant. The God that holds over you the pit of hell, the God that holds you over the pit of hell, much as one holds a spider or some loathsome insect over the fire, abhors you and is dreadfully provoked. But also, he emphasized the transforming power of Christ's love. Christ has flung the door of mercy wide open and stands in the door calling. Edwards became an influential voice in what is known as the Great Awakening, a religious revival that swept the colonies from the 1730s to the 1740s. Ministers with powerful preaching styles, such as George Whitefield from England, attracted huge audiences. Many established religious authorities, including Church of England officials, rejected the emotion-filled gatherings, but thousands of Americans listened spellbound. Even Ben Franklin, who was a genial skeptic, was moved. It was wonderful to see the change soon made in the manner of our inhabitants. One could not walk through the town in an evening without hearing psalms sung in different families of every street, he wrote. The Great Awakening was a religious movement, but it ultimately affected the politics of the era. It was the first truly mass movement in America. helping the colonists find a common identity. Many preachers emphasized democratic theories, such as that all people stand equal in the eyes of God, and that churches should be run by the people, not kings or bishops. As historians have noted, colonists who had already rejected the authority of a powerful clergy tied to the British monarchy were more likely to reject as well the power of royal officials. And that, folks, is tonight's On This Day in American History. Honestly, I think we need a great awakening once again here in America. We certainly do. Yeah, I got a couple of things on that, kind of leaning toward that tonight. All right. So, I am hearing, by the way, there's apparently a movement. So for those of you that don't know, I used to be connected to or had a most of my followers came from another show called the Mark K Show. Mark K, unfortunately, is no longer broadcasting on regular terrestrial radio. He was let go by his organization for whatever purpose, and his producer. And by the way, I have interviews of Mark and his producer, Hannah, as well as his engineer, Jay Money Bose. But Hannah got another job. She was also let go. She got another job at an additional, I believe it's a Christian-run terrestrial radio station. And she is making a trek up into North Carolina. For now, she has a Facebook page. It's Hannah Guile, is her name, Hannah Guile, Guile, and she has apparently a link there where you can go and donate money to help her get food and supplies and water and things that people need, because she is heading up from Florida up into Western North Carolina to help with the people, help with the people. Okay, it looks like here's the link. I'm going to copy it and I will repost it to everybody. So if you're in the chat, there's the link. And that goes to all of my outlets. So that's X. X has a chat mode. So X, it's also going out to YouTube, and it also is on Facebook and so on and so forth. So, but anyway, she apparently, and by the way, I'm now being told also too, keep in mind, this is live radio or live broadcasting, live in person, updates here, but, it goes directly to a church that Hannah is affiliated with. And she is, heading up to North Carolina to help out, for those people that are up there. So. And yes, Mark still has his podcast. He still does some things on Rumble and stuff like that. And, you know, I've since moved on. He's still doing his stuff, but I've since moved on from the following. So I don't really follow them all that closely anymore. But you can definitely check it out. Mark K Show is what it's called. The Mark K, Kaye, K Show. You can check that out too if you want. All right. And I've got a couple of things on the storm here in just a minute, but the biggest news that we have is that Trump returned to Butler, Pennsylvania this afternoon. He spoke at 5 p.m. Eastern time, or that's when the event started. Whether or not he actually spoke, I don't know, but because I know J.D. Vance was there, I know Elon Musk was there. I don't know if there was anybody else who spoke. I unfortunately was busy this afternoon and couldn't tune in, but there has been plenty of coverage with regards to it. And let's go ahead and let me show you here. This in Breitbart, Trump supporters rally There was tens of thousands on hand, according to this, to witness history as Biden, came in, not Biden, Trump returned to Butler, Pennsylvania. Oh my gosh, the Lord should strike me down for that one. But anyway, I got Biden on the brain. So anyway, he apparently, gave a speech, and of course, I would imagine that it was a good speech. I've been being told that Elon and J.D. Vance also gave speeches, and so this apparently was a glowing success. And so and I'm also being told that another person that I follow, Sean Parnell, who does Battleground Live here on Rumble, I should say, because I got to remember I've got other outlets, but on Rumble as well. He does a Monday through Friday podcast for roughly an hour on Rumble, and it's Sean Parnell. He's a fantastic guy to follow too if you get an opportunity. I keep trying to get him on the program. We just can't fit together. But anyway, so there obviously is some great shots, some great video here. I'm going to have to run through and listen to some of these. Brick Suit, who is another person. That's this guy right here. You can kind of see him here. Where am I? There he is. That's Brick Suit. Obviously he wears a suit that looks like bricks. Lee Greenwood apparently was there. There was reportedly 100,000 people there. So yeah, so there was unscripted singing of the national anthem. Just all kinds of stuff. Obviously, this thing is really, really was over the top, of course, because of the fact that the just 85 or 90 days ago, somewhere less than 90 days, he was shot. And so, yeah, this is just an example, just one example of where people should be placing. And of course, they've got the big flag and everything else, but there was one tribute that I got to tell you was incredible. And very, very moving as well. So apparently Corey Comparatore, I think that's how it's pronounced. I could be wrong. It could be just Corey Comparatore. But he got a very special seat at the rally. And here you can take a look. There it is. He, for those of you that may not remember, or some of you may not even care, but Corey Comparatore was the person who died in Butler during the assassin's attempt on the president. And they had his jacket, which is his real jacket. And they had flowers placed around. Here, there's a closer look. Let me get the closer look here so you can get a better look at it. There it is in the stands. And apparently his family was there with him or for this event as well. That's the reports, at least. So anyway, Trump obviously gave or mentioned something for it, I'm sure. The thing that really pisses me off, it's not this. It has nothing to do with this. This is just absolutely, appropriate for the situation. But what's inappropriate is all these lunatic leftist morons who are running out there who are saying that this was fake. That they're sitting there saying that the initial attempt in Butler was fake, that it was staged, that Trump did it and doesn't care about the fact that a man lost his life and two others ended up critically wounded out of this. Now, those two others did survive, and I believe are still in the hospital. They could be out by now, but are definitely recovering from their wounds. But if you honestly are sitting here and thinking that Donald Trump not only planned to have somebody shoot at himself, but also doesn't care about the person who died, I have no words. I have just utter stunned. I'm just stunned again, this is a Democrat, leftist lunatic morons that are spreading this rumor. And, yeah, I can't even imagine how, I wouldn't even, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't even care if it was like Kamala Harris or even like Joe Biden. As much as I despise both of those because of their leftist, in the case of Kamala, her Marxist beliefs, I wouldn't care. I definitely wouldn't be calling out and trying to say, oh no, this was staged. A man lost his life protecting his family that day. He got shot covering his wife and kids. You guys are despicable. You Democrat, I keep wanting to say liberals, but I can't say liberals because a liberal would actually be on the side of America. This is a leftist. This is a leftist ideology, an absolute hatred. And if you sit here and think that the Democrats are the party of tolerance, they're not. They're not even close. There's no way that I would be welcome at a Democrat rally in any way, shape, or form. I'd get spit on. I'd get hit. My safety would be completely compromised. But yet, if any Democrat comes to any kind of rally, even a Trump rally, if any Democrat comes to a Republican rally, they will get treated with respect. Just because we disagree politically doesn't mean that we can't be human to one another. And the problem is the left has gone so far off the deep end, they are no longer wanting to be human with one another. Dan Bongino has said this before, and I totally believe it because it makes the most sense. Republicans think Democrats are people with bad ideas. Democrats think Republicans are bad people with ideas. And that literally is correct. These Democrat leftist lunatic morons who are out here, and I'm sorry, I'm a little fired up right now because I'm just getting so freaking tired of this. And it's only going to get worse up until November 5th, and potentially even beyond that. It's going to get worse. You don't even understand what you are doing. You blame the Republicans. You say that they're divisive, and we're not even close to being divisive. The conservatives don't even, we're not divisive. We're willing to work with you. We have in the past. Republicans and conservatives have been bending over for 40 freaking years for your left-wing ideology. And now that it's coming down to the point where it is potentially going to destroy this country, we stand up and say, all right, that's it. We've had enough. We're done. And you guys call us divisive. Kiss my ass. All right. Anyway, okay. So again, great turnout, I'm sure. Fantastic that he was able to go back there. I'm sure it was a fantastic show. That's just the way that he does things. I forgot. to point out too. There was also several, did I accidentally close that? I did. Oops. I had a whole slew of pictures, by the way. Wait a minute. Maybe I do still have them. No, I had a whole slew of pictures of where the Secret Service was actually doing its job. Either that or the local police department took over and just like they were up on the roofs, all of them, not just the one right behind Trump, but they were on all of the roofs, including the one where his shooter, and I'm not going to say his name because that would be potentially glorifying that asshole. But the shooter was from. Yeah. Yep. So, yep. Anyway, all right. Let's move on from that. That's a great thing. I think it's awesome. I think there's going to be a lot of snapshots and sound bites taken from that, and it might even help to revitalize the campaign a little bit more, and potentially give us a bit more of a distance between Kamala Harris, the failed administration that she is a part of, and in his reelection in 2024. All right. So FEMA has been taking a bunch of hits lately with regards to their response to Hurricane Helene. And Helene has, well, I mean, let's just face it. There's several people in North Carolina who are saying they haven't even seen a FEMA representative yet. So yeah, there's just a lot of stuff going on, and never mind the fact that Mayorkas, who is like probably one of the worst administrators of the Department of Homeland Security that there ever was. But he himself was saying that FEMA just didn't have any money. They didn't have enough money. And he made that statement. And then the White House tried to walk it back. The White House kept saying, oh, no. That's a rumor. That's a rumor. Well, guess what? It's not a rumor when your own freaking website says otherwise. So here in LifeZet, FEMA caught red-handed. Rumor claim gets debunked by their own website. Well, again, these are like, news reports and stuff that is put out. And of course, the left is all talking about it. Outlets like Politico mentioning New York City getting $104.6 million from FEMA for asylum seekers, illegals coming here. FEMA's own website talking about it. It's just, folks, this is the worst administration. This is the worst administration, I think, that we have ever seen definitely in my lifetime. Potentially, possibly in modern history. Yeah, I mean, FEMA itself, and this is, let's see, where am I at here? Who's this? So in a recent report, conservative commentator Brianna Morello accused the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, of diverting disaster relief funds to address the ongoing influx of illegal aliens. I'm not going to say immigration because that's not what they are. They're illegal aliens. So Morello's claims directly challenge FEMA's official statements, where the agency has denied the allegations, calling them a false rumor on its own website. Well, Morello stands by her report, asserting that her sources for the claims are FEMA's own press releases. And there they are. You can see them right here in the piece. You can see them. They're FEMA's own press releases talking about all the stuff that they've been doing with all that money, kicking it out. I mean, seriously? Come on. Anyway. Continuing on down here, Morello emphasized that her information comes directly from the website. I never divulge who my sources are behind a story, but I'm going to do it now because I don't want FEMA calling me a liar. So my source behind all my reporting is actually FEMA itself, she explained. In her report, Morello highlighted the contradictory statements from the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who recently warned of insufficient funds to get through the hurricane season. Morello said, according to their own DHS secretary, Mayorkas, who is saying that they don't have enough money to get them through hurricane season. FEMA, in its online response, assured the public that it has enough funds for immediate response and recovery efforts. Okay, keep that in mind. That's a key phrase. Immediate response. Right now for immediate response and recovery needs. Okay. Morello concluded by suggesting that FEMA hopes the public will not actually verify the facts for themselves. They're hoping that you're just as dumb as they are and that you're not going to fact check them on these things. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. This is, she has a thing on her post. She has a video here about it. But folks, they put out, this is their own freaking people have been saying this. Their own people inside have been saying this. They've been saying they don't have enough money. They needed more money. They actually went to Congress talking about needing more money. Not only that, but they're also, they're like Tommy points out on Facebook land, they're telling pilots, hey, plane and helicopter to leave, and if they return, they'll be arrested. I was watching a video on that not too long ago, just in the last couple of days. There was a guy and his son who went to go rescue a couple off the side of a mountain, and he apparently landed in their driveway, picked up the wife, told the husband he was going to come back to get him. And they took off. He flew them to a safe zone next to where a battalion, a fire battalion was. And the fire battalion chief came up and said, hey, you can't do this. If you fly in and do this and go back and do this again. And he left, by the way, he left his co-pilot there because apparently he's only like a 2-seater. All right. And he goes, hey, I got to go back and get my co-pilot. And the chief said, if you fly off in that direction, I'm going to arrest you. And he called the police over to arrest him. I mean, seriously, people, this is ridiculous. You want to know how well a organization or the government responds to stuff? This is why. This is exactly why. If you want this type of an administration moving forward, now I can have constitutional questions with a lot of this stuff going on. I can have philosophical arguments and issues with the spending of the money and so on and so forth. Okay. And we can have all of those discussions, but to sit here and know that these people are in desperate need of assistance and help. They're without power. Some are without water. What a lot of people don't seem to understand is that when you lose power, especially in such a widespread setup like this, okay, when you have such a widespread area like this even the power or the sewage pumps, the water pumps, they don't work. This is just so ridiculous. And now, folks, we got another one coming. Now, granted, this isn't, at least right now, doesn't look like it's on the same track. but it is going to cross a part of Florida that has been hit. So here is this is Milton. And going to be a hurricane. Right now it's a tropical storm, but it's expected to be Category 3. Whoops. Let me go over. It's expected to be Category 3 by the time it makes landfall. And here it is. You can see the storm track. It's coming through the Gulf of Mexico. Now, keep in mind, the Gulf of Mexico, of course, is still warmer than what it normally is this time of year. And so that is going to help fuel this thing and make it even bigger. But here's the problem. So Helene, even though she didn't have, she had a bunch of rain, she didn't have as much rain as what is expected out of this guy. And I kind of made a comment about, it being a Category 3. I'm being told by one of my longtime Whiskey Warrior P1s over on Rumble, Cat 3 is no joke. Trust me. Well, I understand that because typically every time they go up a category, it's almost like a 10 times whatever the other one was. So, yeah, and this one, by the way, right now, it seems to be heading right for Tampa, Florida. And this is going to be hitting by potentially Wednesday of next week. That's what they're thinking. And it's going to cross the Florida Peninsula and then head out to sea. And we haven't even gotten the cleanup. They haven't even gotten the cleanup from what Helene did to them in the beginning. And yet here we're going to have one complete state that's going to be completely covered by this storm, apparently. This is like a 1-2 punch. AccuWeather's, which is where I'm getting this, AccuWeather's chief meteorologist, John Porter, said, "This is an unusual and extremely concerning forecast track for a hurricane approaching the Tampa Bay area. Milton could rapidly intensify into a major hurricane with extreme impacts. This hurricane could cause a life-threatening storm surge. Please make sure your family and friends in this area are prepared." Yeah. Well, I know I'll be talking to my brother-in-law because he lives in the Tampa area. So, yeah. Tommy over on Facebook says, "This is like the south coast of Louisiana a couple of years ago when they got hit by 4 storms in one season." Yeah. But anyway. I know a lot of my Whiskey Warriors are down in Florida, so I'm hoping that, you guys are all going to be okay. This is like a 1-2 punch. Anyway. And of course, the federal government right now is basically saying, yeah, we don't have enough money for this. But yet, hey, they can send money off to frickin' Ukraine, which they just did. By the way, Biden just promised another round to go off to Ukraine again. Jesus. Anyway, well, because of because of Helene, there's a possibility that, according to this piece in the Epic Times, that we could be having a problem in North Carolina. So uncertainty clouds North Carolina's 2024 election after Helene. The area impacted by the storm is significantly more Republican than Democrat, the state election board shows. Officials in North Carolina warned that voting in some parts of the battleground state might be impacted due to Hurricane Helene's impacts. During Helene, critical infrastructure in large swaths of western North Carolina, and especially parts of the Appalachian mountain areas, were damaged or totally destroyed. I know that there's several roads that got washed out, etc., etc. All right. But it says there may be, who is this? Karen Brinson Bell, the executive director of the North Carolina State Board of Elections, told NPR on Tuesday there may be polling places impacted by mudslides. There may be polling places that are inaccessible because of damaged roads, and there may be polling places with trees that have fallen on them. So how many voters are impacted is a question. According to the North Carolina Elections Board website, 5 county boards of elections were closed as of Thursday morning. That includes Avery, Bucumbe, Mitchell, Watauga, and Yancey counties, and I probably mispronounced at least 2 of those. In Avery, Bucumbe, and Watauga counties, election staff are working or taking calls. The status of Mitchell and Yancey counties is not clear, as the website lists them as closed with no other details. So the voter registration deadline for the coming election is actually October 11th, and that's 25 days before the November 4th election. Although some voters can register in person at early voting sites during the early voting interval, lasting from October 17th to November 2nd, according to the Elections Board website. For mail-in voters, a county board of elections has to receive the completed voter registration application no more than 20 days before the general or primary elections. And the election board says that meanwhile, the deadline to request an absentee ballot is in the state is 5 p.m. Eastern time on the Tuesday before Election Day, which falls on October 29th. The deadline to return a mail-in ballot is 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Election Day itself. Now, keep in mind, even some of the mail, by the way, even some of the mail has been suspended, like the Postal Service, through no rain, no sleet, no snow, no hail, no storm will keep me from my appointed rounds. Well, apparently Hurricane Helene did a number on them. And there's some mail areas or areas where mail has actually been suspended at this point. Now, one of the problems that we have, of course, in this particular area is that North Carolina has turned into a battleground state, folks. North Carolina is expected to be a key swing state in 2024, coming 4 years after then-President Donald Trump narrowly defeated then-Democratic candidate Joe Biden by more than 70,000 votes, or 1.3%. The Cook Political Report has moved North Carolina to a toss-up for the 2024 election between Trump and Harris in August. Recent polls in the state have shown the 2 candidates are neck and neck with one another, it noted. Both Harris and Trump have made numerous stops to the Tar Heel state this year. So, folks, we may have a couple of weeks before we find out who the next president is. Honestly, I mean, this is sad. It's sad and it's bad, but we may not know who the president is until the end of, a couple of weeks' time or something because of all this. This is going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be tough for them to get back to somewhat normal in 30 days. And don't forget that Florida is about to get hit a second time, or at least the western part of Florida is about to get hit a second time. We could be looking at a bit of a delay completely, and not just talking about like Pennsylvania saying that they can't count everything. But, yeah, this is 2024 is shaping up to be a very, very odd year for this. So anyway, All right. So if you want to know how smart, how intelligent, how fantastic of a speaker Kamala Harris is, all you have to do is wait for something to happen to her teleprompter or put her in front of cameras without one. I mean, we pretty much know that she is not the smartest or sharpest knife in the drawer. She's not the smartest individual in the room. Hell, I mean, she's a Marxist leftist moron, to be honest with you. But the look, apparently her teleprompter went out at a labor event in Flint, Michigan. And when it did, well, the old Kamala came out. Now, I gotta tell you, I'm serious. I gotta tell you. You want this person? I mean, seriously, do you want somebody who can get like totally flustered because of a teleprompter issue to go and like negotiate with terrorists and other heads of state across the globe? She can't even, she's supposedly even as bad or possibly even worse than Joe Biden. I mean, at least Joe Biden has an excuse. He's old. He's senile. He's demented. He has dementia, we think. But, yeah, she was talking to union members. This is in Red State. I've got a clip here in just a second that was put out by the Foo on X. But so she now apparently, by the way, she actually is losing union support. As I've pointed out on this program, the rank and file have literally don't want anything to do with her. No matter, even if the union representatives say that she is endorsed by them, the rank and file are not interested, and they are likely not going to vote Democrat in this election. And so anyway, she's been losing a lot of union support. And so she is trying to shore up her usually reliable supporters, which, by the way, they're leaking like a sieve. She is bleeding the typical base in the black vote, the Hispanic vote. The only thing that seems to be shored up or is, halfway decent is the liberal white women of suburbia vote, which there really isn't. I don't think there's going to be much support there, but that seems to be one area where she has a shall we say, a relative lock. But the International Association of Firefighters has now said that it won't be endorsing a presidential candidate for 2024. Now, if you recall, the Teamsters did the exact same thing. And both of them usually will side with the Democrats. So there's some unrest in the ranks over on the Harris side of the aisle. Now keep in mind, the International Association of Firefighters, and I got to give them credit for this, also didn't endorse Hillary Clinton in 2016. That's freaking smart. But they did endorse Joe Biden in 2019. So anyway, she was there doing a thing, and so on Friday she was trying to pull back people back into the fold. Well, she just, let's just put it this way, she tanked. There's a bunch of small clips here. I'm not going to play them all, but the one that I definitely want to play for you is here, posted by Politabunny, I think. Yeah. Politabunny. And here, God, you have just got to listen to this. It's 50 seconds of just gobbledygook. Oh my God. Listen to this.
Remember his number, 32. Today we got 32 days until the election. elected.
She can't think. She can't think. You can look at
So
her.
32 days. 32 days. Okay, we got some business to do. We got some business to do. All right. 32 days. And we know we will do it. And this is going to be a very tight race until the very end. This is going to be a very tight race until the very end. We are the underdog, and we know we have some hard work ahead. Remember his number, 32.
Okay. Oh, my Lord. You want this person to be in front of, like, the G7 summit? I mean, what? People, look, I don't care whether you like the person. I don't care whether you like what they do in their private lives. I really don't give a crap if the person is like this just absolute monster to their family and their kids. The teleprompter ended. She has no idea, none, no idea whatsoever as to who and how to even recover from this. She has to sit there and keep talking. He has 32, that's his number, 32 days, 32 days, yeah. And then she's sitting there and she's like looking off into space and like, look, folks, I'm going to give you a little inside baseball into this show, okay? Yes, I have articles that I put out. Yes, I go and I read those articles, but everything that you are hearing, with the exception of my sponsor spots, and realistically, some of those sponsor spots are also totally off the cuff, folks. I do read from the articles, but the times that I am commenting directly on the articles, I don't write this stuff down. I don't have it in a teleprompter in front of me. This is all unscripted. This is me and my thoughts and how I think and how I speak. It's right here in front of you. Now, when you compare me, okay, a relative nobody, I mean, let's be honest, and her, who's supposed to be an extremely experienced and well-read, well-educated, highly intelligent, been able to deal with heads of state and everything else across the globe. She's been to all of these different places. Oh, I've talked to people. I've talked to all kinds of people, she says. But she sits there and she can't recover from a teleprompter. She can't talk to you like a normal person. This is utterly unfathomable. I can't even imagine if she were to sit in front. I mean, oh my God, could you just imagine her in a conference room trying to be in charge of the entire table of people who are like the most powerful folks across the entire world? There's no way. There's no way. I could have a better conversation and probably be way more productive in front of those people than what she can. And she's supposed to have all this experience and all this knowledge and all of this everything to be able to run this country. Folks, this is exactly why I keep saying that only Democrats vote for morons, or only Democrats. Wow. Democrats only vote for morons, that's for sure, but also only morons vote Democrat. She is a complete train wreck of an idiot. I'm sorry. She's not, she may have gone to law school. She may have been a lawyer. She may have been an attorney general of a state. She might have even gotten into the presidency over her ability to speak and communicate her thoughts effectively, so on and so forth. She is a complete and utter moron when you put her up in front of these people. And I've done public speaking before, folks. I have done public speaking in front of 400, 200 crowds, count crowds, okay? And all she does is, well, here, she even fell into the cackle, you know, she even fell into the cackle again, which she's not supposed to do, by the way. Here.
Today we got 32 days until the election.
There it is. There's the cackle. Oh my gosh. Oh, there it is. Oh, right here. Right here. Whoops. I got to get this right. There it is. There it is. Look at her. Look at the look of fear on that face. Holy smokes. She is like, I don't know where to go. I don't have anything left. There's something. It's like she's trying to get her, she's trying to wrangle the two brain cells that she has in her head and rub them together to even have a freaking thought. She's like, oh shit, where do I go from here? Okay, I talked about the 32 days. I've repeated the 32 days about 4 times. Do you think they got it? I mean, these people are stupid. Yeah. Yeah, she is a complete and utter freaking moron. I can't even imagine that even if the polls are correct, which, I mean, let's be honest, they probably aren't, but even if the polls are correct, how the hell is it even this close? I mean, there's no way. Now, you got to remember, I mean, I grew up during the time where we actually had people who were statesmen. We actually had people who could speak elegantly and intelligently about all sorts of topics. That they were able to communicate thoughts and feelings into words. This is just, oh my God, she's a train wreck, folks. She is a complete train wreck. Can't even imagine anyone who wants to vote for this person. Anyway. Also, too, here we go. Oh, one of the things that Kamala Harris is attempting to do, of course, is she's attempting to distance herself from the Biden administration because, of course, people don't like the Biden administration. All right. People don't like the Biden administration policies. And so she is trying desperately to get away from that. All right. That being said, people, there's got to be something said for Joe Biden, who's probably another, well, I mean, he's another double-digit moron, let's be honest. But here, apparently Joe showed up for a press briefing in the White House. And, yeah, let's just say it didn't go quite so well. So, of course, conservative commentators called it out. He wanted to tout the jobs numbers, which, by the way, the jobs numbers that I told you about, we talked about it last night. They came in. They're probably going to get revised down more than likely. And also, too, they were, again, a whole bunch of part-time jobs while full-time jobs fell. But still, you know, the gift that this guy gives is just amazing. Remember, again, Kamala Harris is trying to distance herself. She's trying to portray herself as being the difference, the change, you know, everything that Joe Biden is doing, we're going to fix it. You've been in office 3.5 years as the vice president, chickie. There's no way that you are not going to, you couldn't have fixed it by now. You were the border czar, for gosh sakes. And there's no way that you're going to go and all of a sudden become, you know, hard-nosed, assed, whatever, on the border. There's just no way. Well, here's Joe. Wonderful old Joe, the gift that keeps on giving. Here it comes.
There have obviously been a number of crises that the country has been facing over the past several days, with the hurricane, with the port strike, with the situation in the Middle East. Can you talk about how your vice president, who is running for the presidency, has worked on these crises and what role she has played over the past several days?
Well, I'm in constant contact with her. She's aware we're singing from the same song sheet. She helped pass all the laws that are being employed now. She was a major player in everything we've done, including passage of legislation which we were told we could never pass. And so she's been, and her staff is interlocked with mine in terms of all the things we're doing.
Oh. So I guess Kamala Harris isn't as far distanced from Joe as what she wants to make everybody believe. Because Joe is in lockstep. They're singing from the same song sheet. Yeah. That's the truth right there. That's the truth. Does anybody have any idea or any thought? I mean, this thought crossed my mind. I know it crossed Bonnie's mind. I know it crossed a couple other of my longtime Whiskey Warrior minds as well. But has anybody ever thought that maybe Joe and Jill are like trying to not overtly stick it to Kamala because she stuck it to them? Remember how I told you that the only way to get Joe Biden out was to threaten the 25th Amendment? And the only way for the 25th Amendment to actually become a factual thing is if Kamala Harris says that she can, that she's going to sign it. How much do you want to bet Jill is like subvertly telling Joe, you got to go out and stick it to her every single time you can? Jill loved the White House. Jill loved the power. Jill loved being in the first lady's seat. How much you want to bet she's feeding him the line? Because let's be honest with everybody right now. Joe probably isn't even aware of the fact that Joe's probably not even aware of the fact that he's actually in the press room. Oh, I mean, yeah, I just, oh my gosh. I just cannot believe this. Hey, Tommy, really quick, over on Facebook, Tommy, I can see you. You haven't been silenced. I can still see your chats. So there you go. But anyway, I just can't. I just can't. These people, I'm telling you, how we're 30 plus days out from the election, how anybody can defend this, how anyone can defend this guy and this woman and this administration is totally beyond me. I don't blame, any of the bureaucrats underneath, although all of them need to get cleaned out as soon as Trump gets elected. But I just can't even see how this race could even be slightly or even remotely as close as what they keep talking about. This is ridiculous. Anyway. All right. Well, I got to shift gears, but before I do, I would love to talk to you about my own logoed gear. Okay. I haven't done this very much. I'm just telling you, I try not to because, I've got other sponsors and things, but here. This is my logoed gear store. You can go to store.americanperspective.online and get several items of clothing and a couple of other items with my American Perspective logo on them. I have crew neck sweatshirts. I've got crew neck t-shirts. I've got long sleeve tees. I also have hoodies. I was actually wearing my hoodie not too long ago. And no, 3 Chevy, this one is not on a teleprompter. I'm making this one up as I go along. So compare me to Kamala and see which one comes out better. But anyway, I've got hoodies. I've got tank tops if you're still interested. I also have links to where you can go and get the Saddleback leather-bound Constitution. There's also a link too, if you go to the second page, there's also a link as well to still go and get the Whiskey Musings gear that's still out there, because I know a lot of you are, longtime listeners from when this show used to be called Whiskey Musings. And so you can go and check out that shop, because that shop is still up. Ironically, that one's also at store.whiskeymusings.online, not storeamericanperspective.online. But anyway, I digress. So head on over to store.americanperspective.online and check out all of my logoed gear. This is just, I would appreciate it. And I keep things as low as I possibly can, only taking a small portion, of course, for the show. So, to do things like when I have, for an example, when I have to pay for stuff like my phone number that I haven't used in a very long time. But go to store.americanperspective.online and check out all of my offerings there. And I have it in 3 different logo styles, by the way. But you go and check it out. I do appreciate it. I appreciate everybody's support and longtime followers. I was commenting to that to Mrs. Whiskey earlier this evening about how I've got some seriously faithful people, and I love every single one of you. I would love to go out and meet up with you guys sometime. I think that would be great. Someday I may go on a tour. So there you go. Oh, now I'm being told that I'm supposed to do both shows. Well, trust me, I have an idea for Whiskey Musings to bring it back as a segment on this program. And I have some thoughts on that, but I've got to try and, Becky says, if I had to do public speaking, a shot of whiskey would be my teleprompter. That's a good one. Oh, that was a good one. Oh, that's great. All right. Well, okay. I know a lot of people don't like talking about abortion. I know that you don't, but we do have to, talk about it. And, oh yeah, Nana, I would love to do the Bourbon Trail. I would love to do the Bourbon Trail. That would be fantastic. And maybe I can figure out how to do that. Anyway, so anyway, I know not a lot of people really want to talk about abortion, because abortion is, let's just admit it, it is abhorrent. For 98% of the time, where it's not a medical issue to save either the life of to save the life of the mother, whether it's a issue where it's a rape victim or an incest victim, that pretty much is stepped across. Okay. Stepped across the whole program. Nobody in their right mind would fight against any of those categories for this particular medical procedure. But one of the things that I keep talking about on the social media, and I keep pointing out here, is the plain and simple fact that for 98% of the folks that are out here, a large portion, and I mean a significantly large portion, do not bother because of abortion. They do not bother with the responsibility and accountability aspect of the whole interaction where you are, doing sex out of wedlock. Okay. So here's the thing. I saw this come across this headline and just by itself, I'm going to tell you, the headline is absolutely spectacular. And what's funny about it is it's coming from the Associated Press, of all people. Here's the headline. Condoms aren't a fact of life for young Americans. They're an afterthought. Now, think about that for just a second. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that condom use for young Americans is actually dropping? And that, oh yeah, it's an afterthought. It's well, whatever. So we've made sex, especially young sex, so acceptable in society nowadays that, oh yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to bother, using a condom because yeah, that's a problem, using a condom, by the way. Well, when you start to read down into the article, there's a couple of points that they make that really stand out. For an example, one is that even now, this is happening apparently at Ole Miss, so University of Mississippi students. So these are people who are above 18, okay? But University of Mississippi students walking past a bowl of condoms that's by the entrance to their gym after their workout snicker and point, and there's a few who step forward to consider grabbing one, but then rethink about it, peer pressure kind of scenarios with laughter and so on and so forth. But officials do say that they refill the bowl multiple times a day and that condoms are pretty much available at multiple places on campus. But Ole Miss students say the disinterest is indicative of changing attitudes. So the claim is that fewer young people are actually having sex. Now, the ones that are, though, the article states, that the ones that are sexually active aren't using condoms regularly. Okay? If at all. And apparently, people ages 15 to 24 made up half. That's more than 50%, right around 50% of all of the new chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis cases in 2022. So the downward trend in condom usage is due to a few things. Medical advancements like long-term birth control options and drugs that prevent STIs, a fading fear of contracting HIV, and widely varying degrees of sex education in high schools. Okay, but here's the thing, though. Is, they ask in the piece, they're like saying, is this the end of condoms? Not exactly. But it does have some public health experts thinking about how to help younger generations to have safe sex, to be aware of their options, condoms included, and get tested for STIs regularly. So the question becomes, wait a minute, if you're no longer using condoms, so that's one right there. Okay, one method of birth control. If you're not using condoms, so does that mean that the boys are just like, yeah, who cares? I'm just going to go have sex. It's all on the woman. I mean, is this a change? Is this a bit of a change in attitude toward that end? It's a possibility. But some of them, like Megan Perry, who is president of the college's Public Health Student Association, she says, using a condom is just a big no. Now, they state here in the article that young women often have to initiate using condoms with men, she said, adding that she's heard of men who tell a sexual partner they'll just buy the emergency contraception the next day. Really? Really? Perry continues by saying, I've had friends who go home with a guy and say they're not having sex unless they use a condom. And immediately the reaction is either a reluctant, okay, fine, or if you don't trust me, then I shouldn't even be here. They're like, well, I'm not dirty, so why should I use them? Or why would I use them? Really? Women have long, and this is in the article, women have long had the onus of preventing pregnancy or STIs, Cheruby said. Buying condoms or emergency contraceptives, which are often in a locked cabinet or behind a counter, can be an uncomfortable experience, and it inserts a certain amount of shame. Annie Loomis, who's 25, a student at the University of Washington, not too far from where I am, said dating apps and casual sex are making it hard for people to know what is a healthy sexual relationship looks like when it comes to intimacy and respect. if you say, hey, I want you to wear a condom, and they say, no, I don't, you're not having sex. It should be that simple, she said, but it's not. So here's the thing. If you're not bothering to take responsibilities to protect yourself from getting pregnant or an STI or anything else, what the hell? I mean, seriously, what are we teaching our children and our young people by saying that, oh yeah, condoms, yeah, you don't need them? Apparently, according to this article, Grindr, which is a popular gay dating app, by the way, even lists condom use under kinks instead of health. Really? Really? Now, I don't know about any of you, but I've seen those anti-HIV medication ads on television and cable and all that stuff. But seriously, what the hell? I mean, I can't even imagine this. So the CDC acknowledges that condoms are still an effective tool that can be used alongside newer prevention strategies. Dr. Bradley Stoner, director of the CDC's Division of STD Prevention, stated, "We know that condom use has declined among some groups, but they still have an important role to play in STI prevention. Condoms can be accessed without navigating the healthcare system, can be used on demand, and are generally affordable. And most importantly, they are effective at preventing HIV and STIs when used consistently and correctly." All right. So I'm relating this, of course, to abortion because of the fact that we have a group of people who are not even bothering to take steps to prevent not only pregnancy, but also STIs. What the hell are we teaching these people in education, in their classes? I mean, if it really is a lack of fear from getting an STI, as an example, or God forbid, a fear of pregnancy, I mean, this, to me, this is like the first thing that you teach a child is responsibility and accountability for their actions. That's what this is all about. But I actually have a possibility as to why these people are this way. And it came from the Independent. So we know that young people, by the way, we know that young people are like obsessed with celebrities. I mean, just look at the whole thing where, oh, if Taylor Swift endorses Kamala, oh my gosh. You know, here you go. Oh my gosh. I'm going to go ahead and follow her. Whatever she says is what I'm going to do. The Swifties for Kamala Harris or whatever it is. Well, here's a UK paper called The Independent. Now, granted, this was back in 2022 when this came out. But here's a study that is suggesting that people who are obsessed with celebrities may be less intelligent. It says, quote, "There is a direct association between celebrity worship and poor performance on cognitive tests," researchers are saying. Really? So apparently new research, a Hungarian study published in BMC Psychology, found a direct association between celebrity worship and poor performance on cognitive tests. And that people who are obsessed with Hollywood gossip and celebrity culture may be less intelligent. The research was conducted using a survey of, a little over 1,700 adults who completed a series of tasks, including using a 30-word vocabulary test and a digital symbol substitution test. They also completed a, quote, celebrity attitude scale questionnaire created in order to establish how interested they were in famous people. The questionnaire required people to answer simply yes or no to a series of statements. These included, I often feel compelled to learn the personal habits of my favorite celebrity. I am obsessed by the details of my favorite celebrity's life. If I were lucky enough to meet my favorite celebrity, she asked me to do something illegal as a favor, I would probably do it. The researchers concluded that those who scored highest on the celebrity attitude scale also had lower performances on the 2 cognitive ability tests. All right, I've heard enough. This is exactly why we have the younger generation, and I'm telling you, the 18 to, say, 35 group, who is predominantly, and even younger than that, but I'm only going 18 because those are the voters, 18 to 35 group who are predominantly voting Democrat. It's been determined. They're stupid. They're morons. They are morons. Ah, God, I've never had a celebrity. I actually was even thinking about this the other day, what celebrity crush I actually had. Now, there are some celebrities that, I'll be honest with you, I probably wouldn't have a problem meeting, but let's face it, that's just, hey, that would be cool to meet with them. I mean, I would love to sit down and have a drink with just about anyone on this list, meaning James Woods, Sean Parnell, Rush Limbaugh, Ronald Reagan. But does that mean that I am like so obsessed with them that, I mean, Deb points out Elvis. Deb over on Facebook says Elvis. Yeah. I mean, seriously, one of my favorite stories from my stepfather was that he was down in Presidio, California, and he walked into a bar, and apparently, or I can't remember if he walked in or if Clint walked in after him. I don't know, but Clint Eastwood was there, and he sat down with Clint Eastwood, and they swapped buying rounds for each other and sat there for about 2 years. Or sorry, not 2 years, sat there for about 2 hours and just had drinks. And I think, okay, that's cool. But for me to go and like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to obsess. I mean, there are some like country stars, for an example. I would love to meet Creed Fisher someday, but I'm not going to sit here and be like fawning all over the guy. I mean, let's face it. He's a human just like me. He puts his pants on just like I do. Maybe not the exact same way, but he certainly pulls them up. Oh, these people. I can't understand this. But hey, at least we know that, hey, if you have somebody who is a celebrity obsessed person, you can safely say that they are probably not that intelligent. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's get tonight's question of the week out of the way. I've only got a couple of minutes left here, so I'm probably going to go over, but here's the question of the week. All right, the question of the week comes from our very own fantastic jokester over there on Rumble. I love seeing his posts about MAGA, Neanderthal, non-deplorable, non-felons or whatever it is. Anyway, so 3 Chevy writes, "Hey Whiskey, I hope this finds you well, and as our friend Buddy would say, in stout spirits. My question relates to the certification process for the election. If, parentheses, when, Trump wins the Electoral College, is it a conflict of interest for Harris as the sitting VP and opposing candidate to be in charge of certifying the results? What would happen if she was presented with results that showed Trump won and she lost, but she refused to certify the election? Is there a provision anywhere to address a situation like this?" And he concludes with, "Thank you again for all your hard work that goes into these broadcasts. I know we all appreciate it." Well, I appreciate all of you, Chevy, and all of my folks that are out there. All right, so let's break this down really quick. First of all, if Kamala Harris refused to certify the election if Trump won, we would be in the same situation that we were in 2020, where Mike Pence was requested to not certify the election results. Okay. Now, depending upon which side of the aisle you sit on back then, you might have said that Mike Pence actually had a constitutional obligation to deny the certification of the results. However, there are several people who also point out that the role of the vice president in the electoral certification process is merely as an administrator, and that they literally have no power at all in doing this. Okay. Now, the reality of it is that while it is up for debate, okay, and you could debate that there is a possibility because it's not clearly defined, the overall consensus is throughout history, all it has been is a ceremonial process, that the states are the ones that actually are the final arbiters of whoever wins in that state. And that is upheld, of course, by the Constitution, stating that the state legislatures, okay, are the ones that are in the command and control for the most part, with a few exceptions where the Congress is in charge of voting and elections. But the states are actually in charge, and the state legislatures are there. Now, all of that being said, there have been multiple times in the past where vice presidents have overseen the certification of their opponent, okay, winning. And even just in recent history, just to tell you, it started off with George H.W. Bush, who, of course, oversaw his own ascension into the White House and certified it. And then you also have Al Gore, who presided over his loss of the election in 2001, as well as Richard Nixon presiding over his in 1961. So the reality of it is that, yes, she can preside over the election, regardless of whether she wins or Trump wins, and that for the most part, she has no constitutional authority. It is basically a ceremonial process. She is an administrator. All she has to do is open up the envelopes, read what's inside, and that's it. That the real certification, and now keep in mind, the Senate and the House, they do have a process for disputing those. And the process basically is that if the House of Representatives has any member of the House of Representatives who has a, shall we say, an objection to that certification, that particular state certification, they have to identify that. They have to state that. They have to then have a senator, or I can't remember if it's one or two senators, but at least one senator who is not from their state join in the objection. That is all part of the process. And once that happens, then you can have debates going on and so on and so forth, which is what was supposed to happen on January 6th, right up until and right before things got well out of hand in terms of the riots on the outsides. But that had nothing to do with the vice president. That had nothing to do with Pence. And so even though it seems from the Constitution that there's not a lot of detail on this, the general consensus and what would likely happen in the Supreme Court is the Supreme Court would likely say, would likely say that her position is ceremonial only, that she has no authority to dispute or fight or do anything in terms of certifying the election results. And that the problem or the actual disputes should be taking place in both the House and the Senate and have nothing to do with the vice president. Hopefully that answers your question. But I would, there aren't, in terms of your question with regards to whether there's a provision anywhere to address a situation like this, not really, because like I said, it's kind of a little vague as to how much power the vice president has when they certified it. But the Constitution itself doesn't really specify one way or the other. It just seems to be generally accepted practice that it's a ceremonial thing alone. All right. That is it for me for tonight. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you do, make sure that you find and follow the American Perspective channel. Also, too, before you take off, make sure you hit those thumbs up and like buttons on all of my platforms. That is just, that helps to expose these videos to others and helps me to grow and expand my listener base, watcher base, whatever you want to call it. I will see you on Monday. Now, Monday is an hour earlier, so I will see you on Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Good night, everybody.
The previous broadcast was produced and is owned by Active Eye Media LLC. All rights reserved.